I want to move into this because it was great that we kind of like backdoored into,
Mm,
this question or a couple of questions I have around Creative Pep Talk.
yeah.
So what brought it about? Like, as far as like, I know that there's a lot, based on what you've discussed, like this is for you. Like this helps. But was it filling a void? Was it curiosity? Was it like, okay, I lost the bet and it's like, all right, you gotta put the mics on.
It wasn't losing a bet. I don't think anybody was inviting me to do this. And actually, I think that, kind of a core idea of mine is the biggest opportunity for creativity is the hardest creative problem to solve, like, and the least inspiring, right? Like, it's not hard to get creative if Nike invites you to do a 10-story mural. It's not like that's like, oh, that's play day. That's just having a good time. Like, you don't even have to dig that deep for that. That's just having fun. But
Sure.
what is really requires a lot of creativity is when nobody's asking for that.
Mm.
Nobody wants it. Nobody knows that it should exist. Creativity that's required to inspire yourself to do it and imagine doing it in such a way where you would be interested in it, let alone anybody else. Like, that requires just a tremendous amount of creativity. And I think, that was one of those circumstances where nobody was asking me to do a podcast. And the podcast I wanted to do was really this intersection between creativity and career and what I think of as creative practice. And at that time, if you can believe it or not, that wasn't a thing that people really were talking about. I'm not saying it didn't exist, but it wasn't popular to talk about. In fact, I thought this might get me ostracized from the creative community, even thinking about this. So it really came from, I did a talk, just a local like storytelling thing that felt just, it just felt like the next right thing to do. It just felt like, oh, there's something happened. And, it's great to have like a partner in crime where they can kind of validate or invalidate your experience, like when it needs to be invalidated. And my wife was there, Sophie, and I was like, hey, I did this talk and I told a story. And uh, when I walked out, I thought, oh my gosh, like I feel like something happened there. Like that was something different than anything I've experienced creatively. And sometimes I would go through that experience and ask Sophie, like, what do you think? Like, I'd make a picture and I'd be trying out a different style of noses and be like, this is next level, right? And she's like, okay, I don't even know what's different. Right. That happens. You need that. You need that. And so, but this time, I came out and I was like, hey, I think like that was something. And she was like, yeah, that was something. What happened? That was different. And I could just feel that. And so, um, yeah, I think it was at the time I was like, maybe I'll just like pack up everything else I do and just do this full time. But I had kids and I thought, I don't think I'm allowed to do that. I think that's a bad idea. And so instead of doing that, I tried to, um, anytime I come to a crossroads, I try to remember that creativity is like a combinatorial thing. And so anytime you're like, it's either this or that, it's almost always both. It's like, how can you do both? And so I wanted to tell stories, um, but I was an illustrator. And I just thought, how can I do both of those? And Creative Pep Talk was like a way of creating a portfolio of talks to kind of gather, gain trust that this is something I could do.